Well, it seems that this whole twisted childhood universe, as they call it, or something like that, just took another step in a direction that I don't think anybody expected. Now we know that this all started last year with Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. And it was confirmed through that we were going to get a I guess you could say, sort of cinematic universe. Because not only did we get Winnie the Pooh and Blood and Honey 2, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2 this year, but we also will be getting Bambi the Reckoning. Then we got Peter Pan's Nightmare. Then we got Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 3, Pinocchio Unstrung, and then we're going to get the Poohniverse Monsters Assembled. And then on top of that, this year, the Steamboat Willie version of Mickey Mouse, the Steamboat Willie, I guess you could say plain crazy galloping gacho version of Mickey Mouse, went into public domain. And already we're getting Mickey's Mousetrap. We're getting a video game called Infestation 99, or I think it's been named to something else now, which has a mutant rat, in the form of Steamboat Willie. Then we find out we're getting a Steamboat Willie horror film with Steamboat Willie as a mouse killing people. Then we find out we're getting an animated horror film based on it. And then I think there's one more that's in the works, probably more than I can count. But then if that's not enough, it gets announced that we're now also going to get a crossover of sorts. Yeah, a crossover of sorts between Mickey Mouse and Winnie the Pooh. But it's not a crossover of Disney's Mickey Mouse or Disney's Winnie the Pooh, no. Instead, it's going to be a twisted childhood version. Now, obviously it has no connection to what the people at the Umbrella Corporation or Umbrella Entertainment is doing. Because apparently that's the name they're going under. It has nothing to do with that. However, it's going to be its own thing. And it's going to be a horror film where the plot, believe it or not, is two convicts from the 1920s escaped jail. They go into the forest in hiding, and it's during their time in the forest that they somehow get mutated into horrific versions of Mickey Mouse and Winnie the Pooh. And thus, that is why we got this movie now in the works. And I'm telling you, it's like, it's almost like just when you think you've seen and heard it all and everything, all of a sudden, here comes something else. And I guarantee you there's going to be more to come. Because when you look at that Poohniverse Monsters Assemble movie, it's not just going to include all the twisted monster versions of the characters I've mentioned, like Winnie the Pooh and his crew and, Peter Pan and Pinocchio and Bambi. No. It's also going to include twisted versions of Cinderella, the Mad Hatter, the Humpalump from Winnie the Pooh, which I guess is going to be in the third Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and I think someone else. And it's like, just when you think it can't get any worse or any crazier, here comes Mickey versus Winnie. And, I'm just like throwing my hands up in the air and thinking, okay, what other public domain character are you going to twistify next into a horror icon, or at least attempt to twistify next into a horror icon? Who's next? It makes you wonder. Now, look, I get that as kids, growing up with these characters, that when you get older and you find out that, hey, this is, when so-and-so is going to go into public domain and such, that, you think to yourself, well, if I get the opportunity, I'm going to make my own twisted take on it, right? You look at that as a possibility, as something that you might want to do. And all of a sudden, you grow up, you get the opportunity, and off to the races you go. But still, it's just one of those situations that I'm like, okay, we get you want to do something that Disney or some other family-friendly studios at times would not do. But it's like, take a break, will you? I know you probably had all these ideas in your system, once you found out when the public domain date was going to be. I know you probably had all these ideas in your system that you wanted to get out, and that's fine. But the more you oversaturate, the more people that might find this intriguing will get sick of it. And not sick of out of the gross, brutal, horrific killings and stuff in the movies, no. They'll get sick of the freaking attempts at doing another horror film, and then another horror film, and then another. And it's like, okay, we get it. We get what you're trying to do. We understand. But enough's enough. Cool the jets. You know what I'm saying? Just cool the jets. And what's crazy is they want to do all these, like with the Umbrella people. They want to do all these films within the span of this year and next year to get to the, I guess you could say, Monsters Assemble movie. And it's like, you do that, you're pretty much going to ruin any success you might have if you keep pushing it out. But I can understand, hey, they don't got that much money, they want to do what they can as quickly as they can. That's fine. That's fine. I get that. But it's like, the more you do, even if it's in quick fashion, the more you're either going to find success, or the more people are just going to get tired of reading about this or hearing about this. I mean, I was looking at 3C Films when they were talking about it, and you could tell in a way they're just not, they're not just, kind of slightly intrigued, but they're kind of getting slightly annoyed. Like, really? Another one? It's like, okay, we understand. We're getting a Mickey Mousetrap horror film where it's a guy in a, classic Mickey, headpiece going around slashing and killing people. We're getting the horror film, we're getting the game. We get that. And along with that, well, we're also getting a lot of this, stuff with Winnie the Pooh and this, twisted childhood universe and, and so on. We get that. But now it's like you want to take the two characters that have reached public domain in the first and within a year of each other, I should say, and now you want to cross them over into something that, may not have connections to any of the other horror stuff that they're being put into, but yet you want to do that because what? Now you have the opportunity. Well, more power to you if that's what you want to do. If that's an idea you want to get out of your system. But still, it's like, sooner or later, someone is going to come up to you and say, okay, enough. We've done what we could. Let's take a break. But yeah, apparently they are doing, excuse me, they're trying to think about what I was going to say. Apparently they are doing this crossover between the two, with the story that it's actually two convicts from the 1920s that got mutated into these monsters that resemble Mickey and Winnie, and now they're going to face off against each other or something. And what's funny? I look at that poster, that's going around the internet. I look at that poster and I'm thinking, are they hinting at the fact that these two mutated felons might even fuse together, to be the ultimate killing machine or killing monster? I would not be surprised if they did that. I would not be. But hey, that's how nonsensical some of these are. They try to give a plot, finally to the second Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey and everything. I get that, and and all that. I get the idea, but still, it's like, you know, when are you going to run out of ideas? Probably never. Probably never. But I can tell you this. What's funny, I was thinking about this earlier. We haven't heard hide no hair of the Mickey Mouse Trap movie. We haven't heard about it being released. It was supposed to come out, what, this spring? You know, it hasn't come out yet. So I'm wondering if Disney stepped in and put a stop to that. I wouldn't be surprised if they did. We're just not hearing it. I guarantee you they probably got, you know, a cease and desist just about the time they were getting ready to release it. I guarantee you that's what happened. You know, but I could be wrong. Maybe they're tweaking a little bit more, make it look a little better, and they're going to release it later. But I've got a feeling they may have been halted by Disney, in the same with this Infestation 99 game. Because, again, just because the Steamboat Willie, Galloping Gaucho, and Plain Crazy Mickey and Minnie are out in the public domain doesn't mean they're totally free, you know, to use as you please. So I would not be surprised if Disney did step in. We're just not hearing about it, and if we do, we'll hear about it later. But yeah, it's just crazy that now they're going to attempt a Mickey versus Winnie the Pooh horror film. But what do you guys think about all this? What are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on that this possible crossover happening? What are your thoughts of the whole Poohniverse, Monsters Assembled universe, Twisted Childhood universe? And what do you think Disney may have put a stop to the Winnie the Pooh one, Mickey Mouse one? Let me know.